How did I go from writing code on paper to working as a software engineer in a leading collaborative work management company here in Canada? In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you my software engineering journey and the things that I learned along the way. So let's get into the video. But before we get into the video, I think we can all agree that this is the best place where you can click on the like button and also click on the subscribe button. I know you will enjoy this video. So do that and then come back and watch the video. Now that you have liked that, I think where my software engineering journey started was way in secondary school. For the longest time, I've always wanted to study electronics and electrical engineering. And the first time I heard about computer science, about software engineering in general, it wasn't as common as it is currently, because for the most part, the only thing we knew, or that I knew about computers then, was the hardware. You know, we have the monitor and then we have the keyboard, and that was basically the only thing that I knew about computing then. But in secondary school, I took this course by Cisco Networking Acad, which is called Introduction to Computer Networking. And I'd really say it's not necessarily the subject, or it's not necessarily the course that really sent me along the path. It was really my teachers then that were kind enough, I would say, to introduce me to computer science. They introduced me to like other part of computer science, and I would say it was through them that I first learned about programming as a concept, and how they introduced that to us then was through Scratch. So Scratch is sort of like a GUI thingy for like young kids to like get introduced to programming, and that was like the first time I really started or that I heard anything about programming. But then I was so interested in that I started learning C++ on my Nokia C1. Now, this was the dark days, I would say, because then for the longest time and up until like my third year, I didn't have a personal computer system. So when I started learning coding in general, I was learning C++. So I had this Nokia C1, and then what I do is there was this course that I just checked on Opera Mini. Damn, it's the old days. On Opera Mini. And then I had an exercise book where I was then writing my code, and I was then using that to learn. So that was the starting point for coding. Now, because of this very deep interest that I picked up in coding, and because like I said, I wanted to do electronics and electrical engineering, when it was time for me to go into uni, I decided to do some form of research, which did not pan out. But what I did was I was like, what was that course that was a mesh of electrical engineering and computer science? And then I saw computer engineering, and that was why I decided to study computer engineering in school. So I did computer engineering in school, and I would say, I should just say now that most of the things that I know about software engineering, I will say I did not learn them in school, which is and I'm going to say two lessons or two things from it. Is that the earlier you start, the better. If you are thinking of picking up software engineering, or you are thinking of picking up design, the best time to start is now, right? If you are thinking about like, just start now. Fast forward to my bachelor's degree when I got to uni, I will say, because I didn't have proper guidance and I was just learning things on my own, I was just going roundabout doing whatever. And during that time, I also picked up a lot of things. I started 3D animation using Blender, and while I was still doing a little bit of C++, but I was doing a lot of things. I was doing design. I didn't really know what I was doing, which then leads me to another lesson that I would like to say, which is that when you start learning whatever field you want to go, say you want to start learning software engineering, I would say get a mentor. That's one of the best things that you can do for yourself. If you can get somebody that's going to put you along the way, that's going to tell you, this is what you need to do, this is what you need to do, that really goes a long way. And I would say that increases how fast you can go in your software engineering journey. Fast forward to my year 2, I picked up web development, and towards that part was when I also got a personal computer. That was when I was able to like get a laptop. So before that, I was mostly just writing code on my phone. Thank God I got an Android phone, and then I was writing, when I actually started HTML, CSS, I was writing code on my It was techno something, and that was what I was writing code on. So I was writing HTML and CSS. There was like this thing that I was writing code on, like this application that I was using to like write HTML and CSS, which is then going to also lead me to another point, is that no matter what you have now, you can start. As long as you have a phone. If you are watching this video, I think you should be able to start. There are even online IDs that you can use to start learning whatever you want to learn now, especially for like software engineering. You can just go online and start coding on those IDs. So whatever you have, start learning, start coding. Now, one very good thing that I think I need to say that I would say really helped me a lot was that I started data structures and algorithm very, very early. And I started doing a lot of hackathons and competitions right in school. So I was doing a lot of hackathons, and then I was participating in a lot of coding competitions. There was Google Hash Code and a lot of Google competitions then that I really was very involved in. And I would say that sort of like improved my exposure, and that also helped my problem solving capacity, because that's really what a lot of software engineering is how much you can solve problem, how much you can weigh pros and cons to like develop the best software. And that really helped me because I started that early enough, although I didn't have all the proper resources. But with what I had, I started learning the basic things, or the things that were very important, and that helped me along the way. And one other very thing is that right from my part 2, I started applying to big tech companies. I actually started applying to fan companies. And I think that's also very important. And I would say that before I even started applying, when I started writing code, when I started web development, in that sense, I go to career sites and then I check what the requirement is to see, what do they need in the industry? What are the requirements for this particular role that I want to do? And this is one point that I like to tell people, is that when you start learning, you also probably want to get a roadmap. A roadmap can help you more than you can imagine. Get a roadmap. A roadmap shows you not only what to learn, but in what order to learn them. So you get a mentor, you get a roadmap, but also you want to go to career sites. You want to see what are the skills that are needed, because you don't want to learn a skill. The whole point of learning a skill, the whole point of going to software engineering or learning a particular programming language, so that you can eat, so that you can get a job. Like, I know you love to code, but it's so that you can get a job, and you don't want to learn something that will make it very hard for you to get a job. What I then did was go to career site, check demand skills, and I was using that to like build up myself to be able to apply to that. And in my part 3 or second semester, I think that was when I really started applying to fan companies. And lo and behold, I think my part 3 first semester, I got an interview for an internship position at Google. And that was massive, right? Because where I come from, like, that was really massive. And that really sort of like gave me a boost that, wow, if I just keep on with this, I will be able to get what I want to get with persistence and with discipline. And maybe before this point, or at this point, was when I decided that I would want to get a job before I finish school. Like, I would like to get a role before I finish school, and that later happened. Now, I told you that I started learning web development, but because I really needed money at that point, or I was looking for money, I also learned WordPress. And with WordPress, I was sort of like freelancing and building, landing pages and blogs for people, and that was good to like make money. But also on the other end, right from my second year to like my 5th year in school, I did computer engineering, so it's a 5-year course. Right to my 5th year in school, I would say things were not very rosy. I learned everything. I learned a lot of things, but I really did not get a job. So for like 3 years, I didn't get like another internship. I didn't get another job. And that was really very, 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 very tough. And which is then going to lead me to the next thing, is because even I go to Twitter and then I see a lot of people who are like, oh, I just started learning coding like last week and I want to get a job. I'm like, hold on, right? And I will say that it takes time to probably get your first job. It takes time to get your foot into the door. And I will just say that if you just keep on with it, like keep improving yourself, keep learning. What I did was I kept building my portfolio. I kept participating in hackathons. I kept building things, and I kept like talking. I was part of communities. I was talking, and I was improving myself. And that's what you want to do, because if you start learning today, there's a good chance you might not get a job sooner than you expect. And the job market is even a little bit more tedious now. So I would probably tell you that you should keep improving yourself, keep building more complex projects, keep learning new things. Now, fast forward to COVID. I was in my final year, school shut down. And that was really, I would say that was it was a depressing time, and it was really when things started picking up for me. Because at that point, I want to say this for the first time in the public, I saved a lot of money to get a MacBook Pro, like a new laptop, and I was duped. Right? I was actually duped of the money, and that was like really a painful time, because then the laptop that I was using at this point, I should tell this story just like encourage somebody. The laptop that I was using then, the backlight was off, and my friends still make jest of it, and I did not really have money to repair it. And everything that I was doing, guess what I was doing? I was using a torchlight, shining it on my laptop screen, and I was using that to write code. So it was really a very, very hard time for me. But towards the end of the pandemic, I volunteered to work on a project during that time. It's like called Fight Pandemics. So it was like a project to like help people connect during the pandemic. And that was really when things started picking up for me. And I worked on that project. It was like an open source project. And I would say that was the first big project that I started working on. It was a big project. And I worked there for like a couple of months. And then during that time, I was just on one of the communities on the Slack channel. I was on the Slack channel community, and somebody just put on the Slack channel, "Oh, I'm looking for some full stack developers. You know Node.js, you know React.js." I was like, yes. I sent my resume, and I would say luck, or as God will have it, without doing an internship, I got like a contract from the agency, and without doing any interview, I just sent my portfolio and my resume, and I got my first real job during COVID, and that was like October 2020. Towards the end of COVID, I would say, I got like my first contract job with an agency, and that was really where things started to like pick up for me. While I was still doing that contract job for that agency, I got MLH fellowship. Like I got into an open source fellowship, which was also paid, by the way. So the contract job was paid, the MLH fellowship was paid. And I would say doing that MLH fellowship, which was sort of like an internship, really helped my resume, because by having MLH, I would like to think MLH is of some repute, and I think doing the fellowship for like 3 months really helped my resume. And then we got back from COVID, and a lot of companies were hiring, and I was in my second semester trying to round off school, and that was really when, like I said, things I started picking up. And I was getting reached out on LinkedIn by a lot of recruiters from Amazon, from Google, and I really got a lot of interview opportunities. I interviewed with Amazon, I interviewed with Google, I interviewed with Facebook, I interviewed with a lot of companies, Yelp and Asana, and I got 3 offers. Now, this is to say that it's a cumulative effect of everything that I've been doing since 2014, when I really started coding in secondary school, up till 2020. For like 6 years, I wasn't really making a lot of money from software engineering, and I was just learning. And I would say it seems like, this is just by the way, it seems a lot of people are so impatient with their career. I would just like to say, keep up the grind. If you find something that you want to do, just keep up with it. And it's really at this point that I would say that during those years, I actually did a lot of things. I just did not wake up and say, oh, I was going to go into software engineering. Like I said initially, I did 3D animation using Blender. I did product design. I was using XD then, in the days of XD. So it's very, it's so long. I was using XD. Also very interesting, I learned data science. I was learning data science and AI. I learned cloud computing. I learned mobile development using Flutter. I really did a lot of things, right? And I would say that it's okay if when you want to start out, you don't know exactly what to do. It's okay if you have to try a lot of things, which is why I said, the earlier you start, the better. It's okay if you have to do a lot of things to figure out exactly what you want. Do a lot of things, explore different things until you find that particular thing that really clicks with you, and then you can really continue to do it. 2021, I started landing job offers. I got my first job offer with Asana, and then after that, I got the second offer with Amazon, and then I got the second offer with Yelp, and then I got the third offer from Amazon. And I would really say that this was really a very, very good point for me, because I was so drained my final year. I was doing my final year project, and I was also doing interviews. I was so drained that when I got the Asana offer, I was in like my second stage with the Facebook interview. I just sent an email. I was like, I can't do your interview again with Facebook. And it's just very interesting to see what my journey has been. And I would really say you should take some cue from it. You should pick whatever thing you want to learn from this. And finally, just keep grinding. I'm working for Asana at this point, and I really enjoy where I work, and I'm really glad for where I am today. So thank you for watching this to this end. I don't know if I was a good storyteller, but let me know what you think in the comment section, and see you in the next video. Bye.